Dude, somebody just told me that Hellen Keller flew a damn plane. How you blind and deaf and fly a vehicle in the sky, bro? That's just fake. I swear we've been lied to.
Guys, it's Condra Murphy here with Bradley McManus. He's a
What's
Marine.
up,
I'm an
y'all?
engineering student. We're going to talk about some political stuff on here, borderline comedy. You know us, kind of funny. Anyways,
Do what you got to do.
all right. So today's topic is gun control. So Bradley's a Marine, so I'm going to let him start this one off. What are your thoughts on it, man?
So, I mean, me personally, like, I love guns. I love shooting them. I don't like buying ammo, though, because, but yeah,
Expensive.
it's getting up there. But
It
I
is.
love them. I think there should be a limit on what certain people can, like, buy, because there's some very fun rifles out there.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like, we live in the South, and you have an AR-15 down here at the age of 18, but you can't even conceal and carry a pistol yet,
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I mean,
crazy.
that's a straight school shooting device, and we're just giving them out, say, hey, man, you're 18, you ain't never been to jail, here you go,
Well, I mean, even at that, I don't think that it's that easy because you still have to sign paperwork and stuff. But I mean, I think that if they are going to shoot up a school, they will find a different way to, even if they
Yeah.
don't buy it legally.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So do you own guns? Like
I do
personal?
not. I do not.
Okay.
But once I do not live in the barracks anymore, I plan on purchasing a few.
So tell me more about this whole like gun process that you got to go through to receive it.
Well, I've never purchased a gun personally, but I'm sure there's certain paperwork you have to fill out. It's not like you're just gonna walk into a gun store and buy a fucking AR-15 like you buy a Coke.
Yeah. See, here's my thing. All right, my dad, he loves guns, man. I absolutely loves them. Like we got every kind you can think of, and he's got like silencers and all suppressors, my bad, and all that good stuff, thermals and all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
he whenever we walked into a place one time, I was probably like 12 years old. We were up at the Bass Pro Shop, and he was looking at some ARs, and basically you just have to give like your social security and like obviously like your background information kind of deal, and they do a little background check on you. If you check out, you're good, But here's my thing. So people can go to juvie, right? And
Yeah.
that's not going to show up in the background report. Jobs can't find that. Colleges can't find that. And I'm not even saying like juvie, yeah, it's supposed to like correct you and all that. I don't believe in the system. That's a whole nother topic.
It's a whole nother talk.
Day. Exactly. But my main thing is like I'm for people having rights. Now, do I think we have too many rights sometimes? Absolutely. I don't think it's right for any president or any political party to say, hey, man, can't have guns anymore. I'm not for that. That's what this country was built on, But
Yeah.
I think there should definitely be a more thorough check and a less of availability for it. I understand there should always be like kind of lower market guns so people can have the right to protect themselves with a gun if that's what they choose and feel. But other than that, like, I just feel like there's got to be some kind of more stuff we can do in order to make sure.
What do you think would like help Americans feel safer about guns?
Honestly, like for me, I think it's just there's always going to be people who don't feel safe about it. Like, I'm 6'1", I'm 200 pounds. So someone comes, obviously, if someone points a gun at my head, like, I'm going to be a little timid. But like just walking around on the street, I'm not saying, man, I hope you don't have a gun. He's a scary dude, Even if he does have a gun, well, I'm going to run,
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just a personal thing. But I know people who are timid of guns. Like, you can't even bring a gun around them. Like, that's how I am. Like, if I'm at a party or something and people got guns, they're like flaunting it, I'm going to leave, I'm not going to say, hey, man, that's not right. Like, you're going to scare some people. It's just not my personal thing. So I just try and move away from it.
Well, I definitely think there is a time and place to like have a gun. If you're at a party, there's no reason you should have it out unless you're like with like a close friend and you're like, hey man, like look what I just got. But like there's no need to be showing it off, like trying to be the big dick in the locker room.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's a very interesting thing. We got so many different kinds of political beliefs and political parties, and we're all separating on all these different kinds of things. And I think gun control is probably one of the bigger things.
Yeah, for sure.
But here's also the thing, drugs are illegal. What do people do? They find a way to get their drugs.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know?
there's always going to be like a underground market for like guns. Like
Oh, absolutely.
if someone wants a gun, they will find a way to get a gun.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with everything, man. There's this whole thing called the dark web.
Mhm.
There's some crazy stuff. I've never been on there, but just from Google, you don't want to go on there if you're a good little boy.
Just from like TV shows. I mean, I know
Yeah.
that's like not how it's actually going to be, but like it still lays it out.
People are gonna find a way to get what they want no matter what. I went through a similar thing in my life. Not about anything in particular. I just sat down with my parents, like, hey man, I'm gonna be honest. Like until I want to change, it's not gonna happen. I said, you can want it from me all day long, but at the end of the day, people just do what they want to do. They sit there and think about the consequences. I was at a place where I didn't really care about consequences, so I just did what I wanted to do. It was very weird time in my life. It was kind of liberating, but looking back, like I kind of feel a need for more stability and a focus on myself in order to make like kind of the best decisions.
Yeah, for sure.
So what would be your reaction? And you're in the Marines. You're out in Texas right now, right?
Yeah.
So what would be your and your other fellow Marines like reaction if let's say Joe Biden said, hey, no more guns anymore,
Well, I cannot speak against the president and I cannot speak for the whole Marine Corps, but being that I'm like in the military,
Yeah.
I still think that we would be armed in case the country went to war.
Definitely. But like you said you plan on getting a gun as soon as you get out the barracks and everything, right?
Yeah.
So let's say it's your last year, whoever's president, let's just say theoretically, or some laws passed, even if the president disagrees with it for the sake of this conversation, what would be your personal reaction?
So you're saying like guns are banned?
Yeah, like let's say you can't get guns anymore.
I mean, there's still gonna be people that have them. I personally wouldn't, just because, I mean, if guns are banned, they're banned for a reason.
Yeah. Okay.
There's gonna be a lot of people that will not give up their guns.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, even at that, how are you gonna are you gonna pay the people that already have like guns to like get them, or like how's that gonna be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It all
I see what
depends
you're
on
saying.
how things go, because people put a lot of money into their weapons, and you can't just take them all away and expect it to be just like a here you go, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's a very interesting subject, and honestly, I wish I was kind of more well informed about it. I just know through a lot of social media platforms. Like I live in the South, but personally, like I'm more on the liberal side of things, and so I hear a lot about it's the Second Amendment, isn't it? The gun rights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you hear a lot about the Second Amendment. Like anytime anything happens, and the Democratic Party's like, hey, we should take away guns. You just hear backfire left and right. And so I'm more well informed on like how the Republicans think about things, and I wish I could honestly like experience culture like up north or somewhere where there wasn't as many Republicans.
Well, since I've been in the military, I've met a lot of people from up north, like down south, from all over the states, and all of us pretty much generally have the same belief. I don't know if it's just because we're in the military, or I mean, but
I think that might have
people
something
want to be
do
able to
with it.
protect themselves,
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like you being in the military and you serving for your country and swearing to protect us. I feel like that's a whole nother ballgame for y'all versus the average American. Like even like I'm not saying guns should be banned. Like honestly, I could care less personally. But if we had people who were active duty in the military and they could pass a psychiatric test of some sort, just because PTSD is a real thing, especially if
for sure.
And it causes Marines to, or not Marines, my bad, any kind of Army guy, Marines, Air Force, Navy, any kind of anything, it messes with you in the head. I've got PTSD,
especially like deploying and stuff.
Yeah,
people come back twisted in the head.
They do. I think even if they did pass like gun laws, I feel like the average American active duty, if they're like in between tours, if they're home or anything, I feel like they should be allowed to carry a gun though, like regardless of what happened, just because y'all took the vow for your country in order to be able to serve us, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like, I'm not saying y'all should be above the law, but I feel like it's been your job to protect the country. Like, what happens if there's a robber in your house? You're supposed to just not protect your house anymore, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna add some cricket music right here, like the little chirping. You know how it is, man. You know how it is. So let's go more on the philosophical side of this, though. Okay.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Like, I believe at the core, everyone has a certain kind of belief for a reason, you know, whether it be their environment or a certain event that affected them in a different way. So what do you not necessarily say to those people, but let's say people who don't believe in we should have gun rights, right? I'll start it off, because this might be a touchy subject for you being in the Marines and all, and you might not be allowed to speak on it. But like, personally, like, I just feel like not that we should divide our nation by any means, because Lord knows we got enough of that nowadays. But I feel like there should be certain cities or towns or countries or whatever where there's just not any guns, you know? Like and I don't know what we'd do. We'd have to construct new towns or whatever, like just out in the rural areas, like up in the mountains.
I'm gonna go ahead and contradict that, because I mean, if you put a bunch of people without any ways to protect themselves, what's gonna stop like robbers and like bad people from going there and just robbing them?
See, but that's why, like, I didn't want to say, hey, like, I lived in Albertville, so I didn't want to say, hey, Albertville, just, you know, kind of like the alcohol ban, the dry counties or whatever. I don't think that'd be right, but I feel like we have enough land in America where we could construct new like civilizations, new little towns, you know, and it could be a choice. Like, hey, if you're against guns, or not necessarily if you're against guns, you just don't feel comfortable being around guns, we're making this city, you know, like big old apartment complexes, new housing, that kind of thing, where people could choosingly and willingly go, not to have
So
guns.
with that, are you gonna like build a wall around that place to prevent people from smuggling guns in? Like, how are you gonna protect that city, so to speak, of like guns?
Well, I mean, there's always going to be police, you know, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not being naive. Like, sometimes police are corrupt. Sometimes police can be brutal. But I feel like it'd be a small enough community to where, hey, like, we probably have 2 square miles of housing where guns aren't allowed. And don't get me wrong, like, robbers, they could always come in. We're not going to gate 2 square miles or whatever. And even if we did, there'd always be a way if they wanted to. But I feel like we would just have to have like almost a higher police concentration in those areas, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, then at that, the police would still carry weapons, right? They carry guns, and
the
whole point of them living there is to get away from guns.
I agree, and I feel like you know, if that was a possibility, I'm not the president. I'm sure there's so many things that could go wrong with that, but like, I just feel like in an ideal world, hey, like not necessarily even to have guns, but but you got to think, these towns wouldn't be just in the boondocks, you know, they have to be around some kind of civilization of some matter. Like, let's say it's 20 minutes from some big town. Let's call it Aniana, okay? Let's say it's 15 minutes from Aniana, right? You have enough police force without any kind of guns, you know, and let's say you have a couple of armed robbers and they just go on a killing spree for some reason, right? Cops would still get there and have time to react to them. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure lives would be taken. But however, I think at the end of the day, it was their choice to live in that kind of community.
I mean, I still don't, I don't agree with that. I think that there should be measures set up for people that don't want to live around weapons.
Yes.
But at the same time, I think that not every American should have a weapon, but they all should have a means to defend themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether it's a neighbor, a friend, like there needs to be some way for them to defend themselves close by.
Yeah, I don't think. See, here's my thing. I don't think guns kill people. I think people kill people. I think even if like,
for sure,
there's a whole big city, like let's say something the size of Atlanta, right? Let's say there was a city the size of Atlanta, and they had built it from the ground up, and they said no guns, right? No guns there. There's always going to be people, but there's still going to be people who get murdered. It's just going to be with a knife or strangled or something else. I
Yeah,
don't think we're
exactly.
ever going to take away any kinds of threats. Like people are still going to be people at the end of the day, humans. We made
Mhm.
mistakes. Some people do it because they're sick, but a lot of murders happen just because someone was not necessarily scared, but someone was confused about stuff.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's no way to take the measure where, hey, we can't just we have no weapons at all, because then there's no longer anything to protect yourself except for yourself, and there's physical limitations now to everybody and everything. What if we have someone handicapped? What are they going to do when some 16-year-old kid runs up on them? It's a very I like getting deep, man. I really do. I think there's going to be a lot of this on this podcast.
For sure.
Kind of a little bit off topic, but kind of to do with pilots. What's your thoughts on aliens, my guy? Think they exist?
On what?
Aliens. On
Oh,
aliens.
for sure. There is no way in an infinite galaxy or like number of galaxies that there is no other form of life.
Exactly.
Like,
That's what I'm thinking.
There are
Dude.
definitely aliens out there. They probably look down on us and see how stupid we are and just are like, yeah, it's not even worth our time.
There's a possibility of that. But whenever I said aliens, like necessarily, I didn't necessarily mean, hey, like the ones in the or not the cartoons, but like the movies and all that, not like some kind of creepy alien, and not even just kind of advanced, but like just a life form period. Like let's think of something like a donkey, right? Obviously, it probably look different because of different environments. Organisms adapt over time. But let's say there's some kind of donkey life form on another planet, like that would be considered an alien because it's an extraterrestrial. It doesn't have to have intelligence necessarily. It just has to be a thing and be breathing and living.
Okay, I'm rolling with it.
Yeah.
Okay, but since we're on this like kind of off topic, what if this is all just a simulation?
There's always that possibility, man.
Like,
me and my grandparents, we were talking about this the other day, and they were like, I forget which, it was some philosopher, and someone said, I think, therefore I am, and then some other philosopher somewhere down the timeline, don't quote me on any of this, but said, no, they said, that table's a table because it was built after a table. It was something along the lines of that. And they said, so do you believe like this table is a table? And I said, it could be. But what if my idea of a table is constructed from something other? What if it's constructed from what we're supposed to think,
Yeah, like, so what if how do we know the alphabet's in the right order?
We don't. That's just what we've been told our whole life. Like, what if 2 + 2 isn't always 4? Like, what if? Think about it. What if we've been living our whole lives a lie? Because I'm not saying.
What if one day when we were asleep, we were just like kidnapped and we really are in a simulation?
Exactly. Like, what if we don't know anything?
That could be a real thing.
Okay. Speaking of a simulation, I gotta ask. Okay, what do you think happens when we die?
Okay, so you know how babies always come out crying?
Yes.
What if like we just died, so we're like screaming, crying?
Pause. Babies don't come out crying. They do in the movies, don't get me wrong, but like in real life, usually a lot of the times they don't. Usually the doctor has to like quote unquote spank them in order to get them to start crying because that's how they take their first breaths of air.
Okay, well, let me finish my point.
Okay.
So the
Let's assume babies come out crying
because it was like a person that had just died, and our birthmarks are our scars from like past lives. You know what I mean?
This sounds very conspiracy Instagram-y.
No. But at the same time, like there's the whole Christianity side.
Yeah.
Where once we die, we go to heaven.
Yeah, you go somewhere.
But then there's also the other religious beliefs where you get reincarnated or
reincarnation. I've always wanted to be a believer. All right, you ready? You ready for me to blow your mind, Bradley?
Yeah.
All right. So, I've been thinking about this for a while. And the other day I was scrolling on Instagram and, I wasn't just thinking anything. I'm being honest. I was looking at women, that's what you do on Instagram when you're a guy, like straight up. It's either women or memes on my Instagram.
Women or men?
Do what?
Women or men?
Memes.
Oh, I thought you said
Yeah,
men. I
no,
was
no,
like,
no, no, the funny stuff, the funny stuff. Besides you, of course, you're on my Instagram.
of
I
course.
enjoy those pictures whenever they get posted once every 6 months. But
Fair enough.
anyways,
Fair enough.
Stan Lee, right? He
Mhm.
came up, and I was very confused, because I don't watch a lot of Marvel stuff, but it was
Yeah.
one of these like kind of deep quotes and like philosophical pages that I follow, and he basically said, I believe there's nothingness after we die. Think about it. You go to sleep, right? And when your brain can't, like people say you always dream, all this and that. You have brain activity, no doubt that can be proved, but I don't know if you always dream. Because since probably a year and a half ago, I've had maybe 5 dreams that I can, like, usually I used to wake up and I'd remember that I had a dream. It might fade away, but I'd remember I had a dream. So it's almost like it's nothingness. You ever like just close your eyes and the next thing you know, you open them. It feels like you blinked and it's morning.
Yeah.
And there's no concept of time in that.
Hmm.
So I believe whenever you die, it's nothingness. You don't even know you died because your subconscious just thinks basically like you're asleep. You have no concept of time. It's almost like you don't exist anymore. However, I don't believe you stay dead forever.
So what happens?
I'm not saying you're reincarnated into an animal or a person. I try not to get into it because I'm a deep thinker. I like going to the extreme about things, and there's just no way to prove any of this. No one knows what happens to your conscious/soul, whatever you call it nowadays, after you die. There's just no way to prove it yet. I'm not saying it never will be proved, but you got to think, your body, right? If you go into a thermal, like if someone looks you through a thermal sight, okay, your body produces or thermality, like heat, a heat
Yeah.
index. Heat's constructed from energy. So that energy has to go somewhere. Like you're living, not even just your cells, but I'm trying to remember. Okay, so fish, right? Fish, there's a certain, yeah, don't listen. I know I sound crazy. Just give me a second. I'm getting there. Okay.
Okay. I'll believe it when I see it.
Basically, there's some kind of tool you can use, and it detects fish via their like electric impulses on it. It's not an electric eel. Like every living organism has a certain energy to it. Okay. And it's not always just thermal and heat. Like there's another word. I just can't think of it right now. But basically, your body is energy. That's what it is. That's how it's constructed. And for me personally, you go back to science and all this. Matter can't be destroyed or created. It can grow, but it can't be created.
Yeah.
So therefore, if it can't be destroyed, how is that energy that your body has and it produces every day? Like I get you die, eventually your cells all die too, like you become a skeleton, but it goes somewhere into earth. It doesn't leave earth.
Well, if it gets created or destroyed, or if it can't be created or destroyed, you have to realize that all these other babies are being born as you die.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm not saying a reincarnation. I'm saying something happens to the energy.
Well, I'm
Like,
not
dude, we could
saying
be a
that they
piece of
get
grass. We
they
could be a
that
piece
they're
of grass.
reincarnated. I'm like saying the energy gets like low key transferred to them.
Oh, so you're saying kind of like a reincarnation in a way.
No, I'm just saying the energy that you possessed is being transferred to them. Like you don't have anything to do with it, but like
Yeah.
once you breathe, it's like you breathe air and someone else like will breathe it in once it
Yeah.
changes back. You know what I mean?
Okay. I see. Like, so if we were in a like enclosed space, like in a vacuum, and the only air was coming in from our lungs, like I'd breathe out, and eventually at some point those air molecules you'd breathe in.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Here's my only problem with that, right? Every minute there's like 27 or something babies that are born. And every
Yeah.
minute there's a total of 3 people who die, based on averages and statistics. And I'm sure both of them is going to increase because our population just keeps getting more and more. You add more babies to the mix, and 20 years from now when they're having kids, you're going to have double. So that's why I kind of find it hard to believe the whole reincarnation, because at some point there has to be a new entity created.
What do you mean, like a new substance to use?
No, like a new person has to be created, a whole new soul, conscious, whatever you want to call it. Because okay, let's say theoretically, okay, let's say Elon Musk dies tomorrow.
Who?
If he dies tomorrow, Elon Musk.
Okay.
Okay, if he dies tomorrow, dude, I ain't know shit about shit. Okay, but anyways, if he dies tomorrow, okay, and sometime between now and the next 10 years, someone comes out and is a super genius. It doesn't mean he was by Elon Musk, because he died. Like I don't think he is one person. But I think part of us always lives. It goes back to the energy, like you said. Like I breathe out in a vacuum, you're gonna have to breathe it in at some point. It's gonna travel. I think the people who are created, like, don't get me wrong, you know how sex works. It all grows and everything, blah blah blah. You develop a mind, heartbeat, and all that good stuff, and you become alive.
Yeah.
But if the things that they use to be created are the energy from people dying, traveling in the air or space, whatever you want to call it, somehow it gets back to them. I feel like part of us is always going to live. Are we always going to have a conscious? Absolutely not. Are we going to know we exist? I don't think so. But I feel like we're always going to exist in some form or another. We might be in 40 different people.
So are you saying that like we've always existed then?
Yes.
Or did we just randomly pop up one day?
I don't believe in the Big Bang. I don't believe in
No, I'm
evolution.
saying like you personally. Like, did you always exist? Or are you saying that like
so basically here's my thing.
Up?
The energy that I possess in my body through molecules, atoms, whatever it is. Okay, everything that is a part of me at some point was a part of someone else down the line.
Yeah.
Like let's say Adam and Eve 500 or not 500.
Whenever.
Yeah, biblically speaking, a long time ago, like some ancient stuff, like that dirt out there ain't shit. Okay, so at some point, I believe like it's very possible for me to have one or two cells that were constructed based off the energy that they possessed way back then.
Yeah.
It's just, like, have you ever seen like a DNA rep sheet? Like it's got the C, T, G, and B in it, or A, T, G, and B. And it's like basically like, dude, if you go and you run a test on a strand of DNA and something, like it's just like if you put it into a computer, it's just pages and pages and pages of those like letters and different patterns and everything.
Yeah.
What if each G, like every different G too, was at some point someone else?
I am no biologist or whatever.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I can't answer that. I'm just a college dropout. So I mean,
I'm a high school dropout, technically.
See, I am not educated on this topic enough.
Dude, we need to be called the educated dropouts. Dude, think about it. No one has as much time to sit around and think like we do.
I'm sure there are people.
Yeah, definitely. I think too many people just exist though. I'm not saying I'm not an overthinker, like don't get me wrong. I try and go with the flow, but I feel like too many people kind of scared of trying to think about it. Not because we'll ever find out, because they're scared they might,
Yeah.
My Coach Carter, one of my favorite movies of all time, the guy said our fear isn't that we're inadequate, it's the fear of being or more adequate than we could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that just hit home. That just really hit home. So how do you think we got here, humans?
We got here as humans?
Yeah.
I mean,
like you ain't gonna have no science or logic to back it up. What do you feel?
Well, I mean, that's like the whole topic. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yep.
Because there can be an egg without the chicken, but there can be a chicken without the egg.
However, dude, I forget. I seen it. I was scrolling on TikTok or something. There's a science dude, and he said the chicken came first, but obviously the guy was an evolutionist. He said because at some point something adapted over time that made that chicken a chicken. It came out of an egg. No, he said the egg was first. Then it came out of an egg.
Because that's not how that works. Because there's protein inside of an egg that only like a chicken can produce. So the chicken had to come first. See, I mean,
Okay, but listen. Well, what do you think about not necessarily evolution, but adaptive, like adapting?
well, I mean,
Like you stick
it's
a
just like
species.
back in the ancient days before we cooked food. That's what our I think our appendix was used for. It was to break down like raw meat.
Yeah,
So like there, of course, like there you adapt over time.
yeah.
But like I don't think that like humans came from a fish.
No. I don't either. Honestly, I don't know how we got here. I try and like stay away from it because you got religious people in one corner. They're gonna be like, oh, God put us here, and then you got Big Bangus in the other corner, and they're gonna be like, hey
Then
man, we came from
scientists in
monkeys.
the other corner.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to sit there and run like experiments and everything. I just exist, honestly. But
Yeah,
I don't know how we got here. I try not to think about it. I just like hearing other people's opinions about it.
for sure.
I don't think we just showed up one day. But I don't necessarily believe in evolution either. I feel like at some point we were single. At some point down the line, like this is kind of evolution, but I just don't believe we came from monkeys. At some point down the line, we were a single-celled organism, and we ended up mating with another single cell, and this is the whole human race, another single-celled organism, and that became like a 1.5-celled organism, and then so on and so on until then. I'm not saying like 8 million years ago we were just a pair of feet walking around, like no.
So
I'm
is
just
this
saying
like a whole
eventually,
like we were inbred until we were bred?
in a sense, but like you got to think it's not the same in nature as it is in humans,
Is it though?
dude. The Nemo movie.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So what kind? They're the clownfish, right?
yeah.
Okay. Well, if a clownfish mom dies, the dad transforms itself into a female and mates with its son. Nemo never should have existed.
What?
Science, man, it's crazy. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't like, don't get me wrong. There's some species that like let's say a father and a daughter can't have intercourse or whatever because it'd be messed up. Like us, like we're one of those species. Okay, but there's also like species like worms out there. Their DNA is designed to mate with each other. And I think at some point down the line, I don't know how. Like obviously, I'm not a biologist. I think at some point down the line we were a single-celled organism, and at some point we became a double-celled organism, and through time we evolved into what we are today. I don't think we I think our bone structure, like think about it, our bone structure had to evolve through so many years. Like even if you look back at the earliest pictures, like humans look a lot different. Like not necessarily their fashion sense or their body height, but just our bone structure. Our bone structure has like almost shaped over time. And I understand everyone's is different. There's just a general look to it now. Like, hold on, I'm about to do some research. I'm about to show you something, man. What are you thinking though? You think I'm crazy?
I've always thought you were crazy,
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good thing.
but
You're a different kind of crazy, man. Dude,
yeah,
I hope whenever you come home, we're making like a blog post. We're
for
definitely doing
sure,
like a blog post. Yeah,
for
we're gonna have to
sure.
blur some things out. Okay, earliest pictures of humans. No, I'm thinking of like when they painted pictures. Okay, here we go.
Well, if they painted pictures, they're not going to look like a real person.
We paint pictures now that look pretty dang accurate.
Yeah.
99, like, dude,
So you're
have you ever,
saying that there was really people walking around looking like Scream? Or
no.
what's that?
Okay, look, here's a picture I found. It was a photo taken. You're not gonna be able to see. Oh, there you go. You can see it now. You see it?
Yeah.
Look how different her bone structure is. Her cheeks are wider. Her chin goes out farther. Like I get there's some people who look like that.
You're saying people were
know,
walking around looking like that.
dude, I'm talking about like the kings and queens of the 1500s and the 1400s that would have an
You're
artist
talking about
come
like
and paint
sculptures.
no, like a self-portrait. Or not a self-portrait, but a portrait Like,
Well, you have
dude,
to
have you ever
you have
walked
to
around his
realize
barn?
that there are different styles of art, and they
I
all aren't
understand
meant
that.
to look like exactly
That's
the same.
why that is why I put up a photo, Bradley.
Fair enough.
Okay. You see what I'm saying? I just feel like humans have evolved so much more than we're willing to admit. Do I think we came from apes? No. However, at some point, somehow we started out as a much more simple organism, rather it be a single cell. But you got to think, even if we were a multi-celled organism, where'd those cells come from?
Well, I mean, I can't tell you.
Exactly, dude. That's the greatness of life. It's all a mystery. Everyone puts their faith in something so they can go to bed at night easy. I feel like this is kind of cool. We're throwing that stuff out there. I hope we make some people think.
Okay. I have a very controversial topic to talk about.
All right, let's go. Hit me with it.
Was Hellen Keller real?
No. Yes,
That-
but no.
No, she
Yes,
wasn't.
no.
There is no way a blind and deaf girl not only wrote a book but flew a plane.
Did Helen
you know
Keller
she-
fly a plane?
Yes,
What?
she flew a plane.
Look
it up.
I think that's a meme, dude.
No,
Swear to God.
look it up.
Did Helen
I swear.
Keller fly a plane? That brings us back to 1946, the year Helen Keller piloted a plane by herself.
Yeah, that is bullshit.
Okay, here's my thing. And it kind of goes back to like religion, because you know how we have the Bible. It says Jesus was the Son of God, and then we have what's the Muslim Bible called? It's called it starts with like Q or something.
The Quran,
Yeah, the Quran. Okay.
or do they have the Torah?
Either way, I'm thinking of some Muslim.
Well, I don't want to
religion.
disrespect.
Yeah, I don't either. Hold on. I think it's the Quran is what I've heard.
It is. Yeah, it's the Quran.
Okay. Well, in that Muslim religion, Jesus was real, but he was a prophet, not a son of God, at least to my furthest knowledge. So I believe she existed. I believe she was blind, and I believe she was deaf. I'm not saying she didn't write a book, but you should throw a plane in there. I'm not getting wrong. People have amazing talents. Like, I've seen so many people with disabilities that they shouldn't be doing the stuff they're doing. Like I've watched people with no arms play piano with their feet, dude.
Yeah.
And it is the most beautifully composed music I've ever seen. Like people just have like freakish talents sometimes.
But I mean, that's just like, would you believe a blind and deaf person tell you that they drove a car, much less a plane?
It depends. It depends what we're talking. Are we talking plane now? No. Plane way back then with a gas pedal? It's possible. However, I agree with you. She did not fly a plane.
That's what I'm saying.
However, we're gonna do one of her like oldest like ancestors are gonna find this. They're gonna cancel us. I hope you know that. But you know what? At least
No, we're just gonna disappear one day.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's gonna come for us. She's probably blind and deaf too. Survival of the fittest. I don't know if she reproduced or anything.
That's terrible.
Anyway,
We can't be laughing at this.
Anyway, I'm sorry if you're blind or deaf. I did not mean anything by that. Anyways, the point is, I think she existed. She was real. She was blind and deaf, However, I think people are very confused. I don't know if it was made up per se. I don't know if there's some truth to it. Like you got to think about it. You watch a scary movie nowadays, and you got talking dolls, and like you got demons and ghosts, and you got pictures on the wall moving, and it says based on a true story. Like yeah, like it can happen. Very possible.
I think a lot of that is exaggerated though.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I'm saying. I think her story was exaggerated.
I would give her the book, but I am a firm believer that she did not fly a plane.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm kind of the same way with Anne Frank. Like if you there's a I forget what it is. Look, her house is beside like some big landmark or mark in Amsterdam. Like, how do you not find her, dude? Her house was like on a main road.
I don't think she was in her house.
Was she?
She was like stuck in an attic.
She was in her bed, or she was in her it was a cellar or something.
No, it was her attic, right?
It was her attic. Dude, I love this. Where did Anne Frank? You know who wrote that book, the Diary of Anne Frank?
Was it her?
No, dude. No, I'm kidding. It was. It definitely was. Look, the annex on the prison grot in Amsterdam. Dang, she might not have been in her house.
No, she
It was
wasn't. I'm
an
telling you.
annex. It was a secret annex.
Yeah.
Dang. Hold on. It's by something. The place she hid is now like a museum. And it's like right near like a public road. And I want to say there's a church, like a German church beside it, though. I seen something about it earlier.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
not gonna,
even at that, the best place to hide is like somewhere where they wouldn't think to look.
exactly. Like, look at the picture from this. Look at the picture from this, dude. Like, I
Yeah, I
don't know
can't see
about
that.
you.
I can't
Hold
see
on.
that.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. You see it? It's just like pipes, dude.
Yeah.
If I saw that, don't get me wrong, I'd be freaked out. But like, if we were in like a racial genocide against like an entire race, I'd definitely be like, hey, police officer, you might want to go check that thing out. It looks creepy, you know? Like, I just feel like that was a very obvious. I'm not saying she didn't hide from the Germans. I'm saying I think a lot of history was designed in order to make it a narrative almost. I'm not saying
I
like the
don't.
Germans were cruel. All the Nazis were cruel people. Don't get me wrong. However, I don't think it's like no one's gonna let's say there's some 40-year-old guy, he goes to church, morally he's a good person. No one's gonna write a story about how they escaped his death or like his death trap or something like that. He's just a normal guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think there is serial killers and stuff out there, but if they're not as evil as they are, I don't think the stories are as intense. Like if people aren't as interested in it. Like don't get me wrong, no doubt Anne Frank went through the Holocaust, right? It was very real, lots of survivors and victims, I'm all for it. However, I think a lot of history has been exaggerated through the years, including some of that. What do you think?
I think that we are going to get canceled for this first vlog.
Probably, man. How long have we been doing this? I've got
I have no
Snapchat
idea.
from like 30, 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, I don't see a time thing. You want to call it an episode, my guy?
Let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna hit you up with another time sometime this week. It was great. It was great talking to you. Oh,
for
dang.
sure.
I didn't mean to turn off my camera. I'm trying to pause the recording.